보통은 먼저 거의 좀 할 챔프에 대해서 한 두세 개 정도는 미리 올라가기 전에 약간 예측을 서로 그냥 하는 편이고, 그래서 올라가서는 이제 최종적으로 이게 괜찮냐고 팀원들한테 오케이 하면 팀원들이 생각을 하다가 괜찮다고 생각하면 픽하는 거고, 예, 그렇게 돼요.
Oh, the inSec fiddlesticks. Hello.
일단 삐들을 픽했을 때 관중의 이제 함성 소리가 크더라고요. 그렇게 클 거라고 생각 못 했는데, 그냥 새로운 픽에 대해서 관심이 많으시고.
Here comes a surprise. Surprise! They're gonna take some. Can they get caught? inSec tanking up the turret, gets himself the double.
그거에 대해서 그냥 괜히 기분이 좋았어요.
Welcome back to the 2014 League of Legends World Championship here in Seoul, South Korea, as I am joined by a member of our Season 2 World Champions, Toys, from the Taipei Assassins. Toys, we're going to get your pro player take on the series here so far. What are your thoughts on the run of Samsung White so far?
The stage and defense and the crowd is just amazing. This is wonderful.
Yeah, it is fantastic. What has been your take on Samsung White's play here, because they have been very dominating in the series so far?
So I think it's about the ban picks, because they wanted to stop Coin taking the Jace, and they just let Coin picking up Jace, but he's not really good at Jace. That's why they're losing the game, the main point. And the Rumble just win this game single-handedly.
Yeah, absolutely. What a performance from Looper there. How does this whole setting and all the people here in this great venue take you back to that wonderful moment 2 years ago when you yourself were crowned world champion?
你觉得在这次的比赛，整个的这些观众，然后这里的场地的这个设置等等是怎样？有没有提醒你2年以前你自己的那个时刻？
Oh, it just feels like I'm back to the Season 2 stage. It's just really crazy about the crowd.
Well, you recently announced that you would go back to being a professional player. How does seeing that all and wanting that moment back, how did that fuel that decision?
The decision was made after I coached Fnatic. And I watch them play every day. I just feel like I belong to esports, and I just want to go back, and that's why I created a team in Taiwan.
Yeah, well, you absolutely belong to esports. Finally, we did see that in the beginning of the show, you got to be on stage effectively. What has been your experience so far here in the stadium all day, meeting all these awesome fans?
I just feel like everyone just loves this game, and I enjoy the moment.
Yeah, well, we're enjoying the moment as well. Thank you very much, Toys. I know everyone is excited for the next match, so let's send it over to the guys at the caster desk.
Thank you very much, Jocks, and we will be getting into it quite quickly here, as it is going to be Game 3, the best of 5 series. Many hoping that Royal Club can find a way through this brick wall of offense and defense that Samsung White has been able to build every single game right off the bat.
A brick wall of everything, and I think that's the biggest problem here for Royal Club. What do? We've tried, we managed to get a lead in game number 2, and that fell away so quickly. One thing that I want to point out is the spirits, though, in Royal Club. We saw Uzi laughing and joking at the end of that one. Yeah. Whether that's just like, we've got no chance, these guys are just far too good for us, or whether that is, we're still in high spirits, which may just help out Royal Club. They need something here.
Yeah, and Uzi is the only player who's been in this nearly exact situation before. They were 3-0'd last year by SKT. And the games did go in a different direction. Game 1 against SKT was 30 minutes, then 28, and then they fell apart in Game 3, losing in 20 minutes and 48 seconds. Game 2 was better than Game 1 for them this time, so that can give them a little bit of hope. They have kind of experienced the threat that is Samsung White. However, if we look to the semifinals, Blue fell apart in Game 3 as well, because it's one of these things. How do you really play against them? You try your best the first 2 games, you see no results, maybe you just crumble. We're going to have to wait and see here in Game 3.
And it has been rumored that it was tough for Royal Club to find scrims after those games, having to scrim possibly to China, White here being able to scrim a lot of the current teams that are around. Even if Blue were to scrim them again, they probably did. So it's been a lot of them probably doing a lot of game research, seeing what they can do, and you're going to see something different from White every game. So that makes it so difficult to try and come out on top.
I mean, on one hand, you're right there. On the other hand, I think that they've played so much over these last 4 or 5 weeks that, you're kind of on your game at that point. The problem that I think they have is maybe maybe not playing someone of Samsung White's caliber to keep them at that level and keep them fresh and even try things out that they've not tried before against a team of White's caliber. I mean, is there a team of White's caliber? We should probably ask that as well.
I don't think so. In my opinion, White, the way they've played at this World Championship is a higher level than any team I've ever seen in the history of League of Legends, which is a really tall task to try and defeat. And the way Royal Club was even approaching the semifinals is they know what they've brought here. They are basically have always been trying to relax a little bit because their game plans have been made. You're not going to pick up a champion in 1 week and break it out at the World Finals. Right. So they are who they are, and that's how they play. So I've actually heard from sources as well, they had found some good scrims within Korea, so it's been a less intense schedule than you'd expect from other teams, but still their play style. Against this foe, though, what do you really do?
We remember the emotions from Uzi going into their games against EDG. Very set back on stage, kind of took some time to himself, so we know they're an emotional team. Hopefully does not fall in Game 3 as they did in the semifinals and can really pick themselves back up here and find a win to keep the series going.
Well, we can see their Royal Club on your screens, and honestly, looking a little bit deflated. I mean, who wouldn't at this age? Uzi, honestly, a different person to what he was after game number 4. If you look back to the quarterfinals, to the semifinals as well. You know, it's hard to say what other people are thinking without talking to them directly, obviously. But the fact is that they looked in higher spirits than we've seen them before after defeats where it really was down to the wire. And you've got to stay in a positive mindset. You've got to stay positive, especially in a best-of-5 scenario where they now have to win not just 1, not just 2, but 3 whole games after being, let's be honest, crushed in 2.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it just has to go with expectation management and the ability to play unhindered, because they were defeated very easily in the first 2 games, so it seemed. However, now coming into this 3rd game, no one expects them to win, so they should be able to play with much freedom, maybe switch up the bans a substantial amount. Here we already see a Jace ban, and try something a little bit crazy.
Man, the jungle's getting hit quite a bit in these matchups. And Dandy and inSec have faced each other on the big stage numerous times, so they know exactly what they need to do to each other. More so Dandy here, and it becomes easy with all those jungle bans towards inSec.
On one hand, you'd say, do they go for a wombo combo type style? Do they bring the Fiddlesticks, the Pantheon for his drops in there? But I think if one team can play around those kind of things, it would be Samsung White. So that's also a difficult direction to go. We see the Lucian banned out 3 games in a row now by Samsung White. Obviously, don't want Uzi on that. Left Maokai up, though, for Cola. It's going to, on the other hand, though, give Mata Thresh, who he was, I mean, he's a god on that champion. And speaking of gods, Imp's not bad on Twitch either.
Exactly it. Samsung White had no reason to switch up their bans after having so much success in the first game from the red side. They knew that they could win the Maokai Rise matchup. If anything, Royal Club should take both of them here, Rise in the mid lane, and hope to brute force overpower Samsung White. I really like those 2 picks there, Rise in the mid lane.
A Braum coming out here for Zero, looking to really be able to give a lot of initiation and possible peel for the team. The Rise is in there for Cola as well, so they're picking that up once again. He has been able to show strong, so a bit of comfort goes to the top lane, where we need to see a lot of the power coming from these guys if it's not coming from Uzi. Jarvan and the Fizz picked up. We've seen it before. Fawn's going to be really putting out a lot of the assassination damage from there.
I mean, we've seen his Fizz. It's pretty lethal. And it should be able to dip, dive, and dodge around this really strong front line that, whoa, Royal Club has put together. That is ridiculous. What just happened?
Well, they locked in Rammus, Jack, is what happened. Funnily enough, not the first time that we've seen Rammus, though.
It's true. Second time at Worlds. I thought it was going to be Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix is the pick you always see in these Maokai Braum compositions because it helps control the front line so well. With Rammus already against a Fizz, it's an incredibly low amount of lockdown. Maybe it can keep up with the speed that Samsung White is playing. Rammus is a pretty fast champion. But honestly, this is just another thing inSec is trying to bring out of his back pocket.
This would make me a happy man if we were to see Singe coming in again, though, not for the first time in the World Championships. And funnily enough, a champion that's featured in all 4 of them, mainly in thanks to Looper, playing it in the last 2 World Championships here. Will he bust it out in the final? He will do. Singe locked in.
We do know he made a name for himself on Teleport. That was on Singed, and we're going to see some good play coming in.
And it is Looper's specific counter pick to Maokai. Yes, it is one of his favorite champions, but if we just think about the way the champions match up, Maokai actually needs his opponents to cast spells so he can charge his passive heal in lane. Singed just runs around at the poison trail. He's not casting anything there. Maybe if he flips you, you get some stacks on your passive. It is a really, really good matchup for Looper if he's against Maokai. However, it's a little strange because they do have a Twitch. They may not necessarily want to match that up in a laning phase. I still love that pick, though.
A lot of damage coming in from Samsung White here. Maybe a bit of lackluster damage with just Tristana and Rise to be providing that. They're going to have to get very big in the mid and AD carry bottom lane. We're going to see these teams match up here coming into Game 3 for the 2014 World Championship. And Samsung White, as you said, Joe, has been crushing these games. There's really no other word for it. It's relentless aggression, it's unhindered aggression, and we're going to see it in Game 3 again. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and even if Game 3 still goes to Samsung White, I have to applaud heavily this pick man phase from Royal Club. They picked a much more straightforward composition that will hope to overpower Samsung White, and Rammus is that wild card that we've been wanting them to throw in.
That's right. As the teams prepare to storm the Rift, let us know who you will be thinking is victorious. Tweet hashtag SHRWin or SSWWin to @LOL Esports. And again, we'll tally up your votes in the game. You can see them along the way. We'll do it more than once, so keep voting on Twitter, and we'll see what you guys think. The crowd has been cheering back and forth here. Good play from Royal Club is also being commended by the crowd. They just love a good game. Right now, that's been going to White. We are into Game 3. As we started off, we've seen some tricky things every single time. Very early first blood. Last game was a bit slower, but still, Samsung White got what they wanted and didn't really let a turret go down practically the whole time.
And you've got to feel that something similar is always a possibility the way this has gone. But Royal Club, we wanted something a little bit different. Rammus is certainly that bit different in the jungle. inSec really varying his picks so far in the World Championships. But is that alone enough here against Samsung White? They've got some pretty interesting choices of their own. Singed in the top lane there for Looper. Of course, Pawn going to be playing a very scary assassin if he gets going, which, I don't know, I guess form tells us probably is going to get going at some point.
Based on everything we've seen, yes. However, the one game that Samsung White lost in the World Championship, they got ran over a little bit early game and then had no wave clear. They actually kind of did that this game too. So Looper, if they fall behind, will not be able to clear on Singed. Pawn offers nothing. Imp has to endanger himself just to open up to clear waves. So if Starhorn Royal Club could get an edge early, it would be one potential path to victory and a longer series.
So safe early elixir lanes coming in from Looper and Pawn. He'll probably go aggressive anyways within his play style. He loves to do so. Korn looking to get that tier out as fast as possible in the mid lane and lock it down with Rise. Still a lot of late game being seen from Starhorn. Can they get to it this time?
That is the big question. 2 out of 2 times they've not gone there. Game 2 a little closer in the earlier stages, but White just showing that they can come back from really any scenario that you put them in. We are going to be seeing 2 versus 2 lanes here with Braun Tristana versus the Thresh Twitch out of Samsung White.
Yeah, the fact that White is doing standard lanes down here with the Twitch Thresh is actually pretty dangerous, but it's because they favor this Looper-Cola matchup so heavily. We'll see how quickly Singed starts running between turrets to pick up farm with no opposition. It's a bit of a gamble there because, again, they're allowing Uzi his own freedom, which is something we expected Samsung White to try and shut down. Obviously, they haven't needed to.
Well, we saw Looper on Singed against Dyrus, and he got behind him right away when he was playing Maokai. Level 2 is hitting the mid lane, and Pawn tries to take aggression there. Good hits from Korn, trades back aggressively, and that's exactly what they need to do. The match of aggression here versus White. Not a real gold lead to be had by anybody very early in the game because we didn't get any jungle invades, so it's all up to the lanes to start things off, and Uzi and Zero, as usual, pushing that lane to the turret as fast as possible.
We see on the top side as well that Loop has been stopped going between turrets and doing that proxy farming, which we saw from him the last time he brought out that Singed, and obviously was for quite a while a big thing as inSec here. It's going to come rolling towards mid. There is the dodge. Here's the counter gang. The TP coming down as well. Cancelled. They were already out of range though.
Hey, great TP cancel there by Looper because they had already retreated. An even better playful trickster by Pawn right there, timing out inSec's Powerball so that he had no choice but to retreat. One thing you have to do against Rammus is basically just lay and wait for the counter gank because he can come straight through the lane if he wants to. So he's really, really hard to ward out. The biggest thing that Samsung White and Dandy have to do in the early game against inSec is just prevent him from getting those kills. Because if he can ever get to his boots of mobility and his home guard boots right away, the ganks just never stop in the lanes.
Exactly what we want to see. Consistent ganks, consistent aggression. Dandy and inSec try to bring that all the time. We'll see how inSec plays this Rammus. Fast back, maybe mobility boots to continuously get out of base and just be a presence in the lanes. Low mana here for Korn as he's trying to keep up with Pawn on that elixir. It's not going to be easy right now, but he's just trying to charge up that tier and get himself going for that late game. Lane's pushed up so far for the bottom, trying to get aggressive under the turret. A little bit of a concussive blow there from Zero, but it's not going to be any extra aggression from Uzi. They're keeping the farm up, 28-16 here, as they're keeping the harass on with that farm.
Yeah, not really much of an opening for either side on that bottom lane at this point, which, to be honest, you'd probably be expecting in this 2v2 matchup. However, we do see Dandy already starting to move a little bit deeper into the Star Royal Club jungle to just get a ward down by the Wraith camp. We'll see if that opens things up. It's what opened things up in game number 1 especially.
The mid lane has been completely in Pawn's favor. He's had a lot of help, but honestly, him beating Korn to every single team fight has probably been the main decider in this series. His ability to control his lane, shove in, and reach ganks earlier have all been MVP to me, but honestly, everyone on Samsung White has been playing so well. This bottom lane, though, is getting shoved in pretty heavily by Uzi and Zero. I talk a lot with Crepo about bottom lane matchups, and he will always default back to talking about Tristan Braum and how well they can play in that duo lane. So it does surprise me that Samsung White is so readily willing to lane against them, and we can see how well they're defeating him early on.
Well, you said hopefully the strength can come from Looper in the top lane. His Ghost and his Teleport is now down. Possibly activating those both at the same time to make a play under the turret for that mid lane, but it was not used. Seeing the stone already finished up for Dandy. inSec going for the Razor on his. It's grabbed out of the rocket jump. Unbreakable goes down, but Imp is still in range, forcing the flash onto Uzi. Now they can get a few pop shots onto Zero in a lane that was getting pushed in. He's gained a bit of an advantage.
Perfect timing on that hook. If you don't, if you catch Triss after she has left the ground, you stop her like that. Actually, if the hook landed before he took off, he still would have jumped away. So the timing there by Uzi was actually really suboptimal from jumping away from that hook. And it meant he had to burn his flash straight away. Mata not going to slow down this aggression. He doesn't want Uzi to back. Hero dodge there by Zero, but it might cost him his life. Nope. That was
No
good.
follow
That
through.
was really good.
Yeah, no follow through there. Just making sure that his AD carry could get away. Let's focus a little bit on this top lane. It's going to be Kohler that has a slight advantage in CS after he's finished clearing out this wave. Obviously, both of them most likely going to head up towards that Rod of Ages start. Zero even sticking around a little bit longer just to annoy Imp as he tries to go back home. We will be seeing Pickaxe first in lane here for Uzi, so it's going to give him a lot of power coming in. Imp, I'm guessing, is going to go Vamp Scepter like we've seen in every game so far with that switch.
Keeping himself very safe in lane. A nice little moves by Zero there to keep the minion wave from getting himself to the turret. Actually has enough to get himself towards the Cutlass already. So he's going to be getting what he wants out of that. Insect over to give the first blue here to Korn. This will help him charge up the tier. Doing quite well in the lanes. Hopefully it extends out to the mid game.
I'm not liking Insect's Rammus thus far. One thing about jungle Rammus is I feel like he takes a huge amount of damage in the jungle when he's clearing. So if he doesn't go mobility boots early, he has to back. Never mind, gank mid.
Gonna go towards Korn, the fist will land. Have they got the damage to finish up? Half HP, there's the burst. They will get him. It's him that gets the first blood.
And it's that Twitch roam based on the back timings of Royal Club. Korn burned everything, but because the fish landed just right, they gain control of that mid lane yet again.
And great mind play there from Mata, throwing the shield out to get himself an assist. He wasn't in range for anything else, but he still gets a little bit of it as well. This means Dandy can start getting aggressive in the jungle. Mata gives him the easy out. Hopefully he gets it first. Doesn't forget to grab the rest of the damage on that one. So begin the steals of inSec's jungle. Going to be much harder for him. He does have the Moby boots. He can get back and be a menace in lane, but falling behind already is going to make that a troublesome thing if him and his ganker are killed, or rather the one he's ganking for. 8.5 on the clock. Not much of a gold lead to be had right now, but White is making the moves to put the bigger gold lead in their favor, and already ready to do so.
And there is that top lane that's been a little bit quiet. inSec, though, let's focus here because he's pushed down towards the bottom lane looking for a lane gang, but if your AD carry is shoving those waves time and time again onto the turret, you either dive in or you're not getting involved in that lane whatsoever. Another big thing, of course, was that Korn just got that blue buff and was taken down underneath his turret, giving the blue over to Imp.
That was not good. It'll also help Imp in that bottom lane. And I completely agree with you, Joe. inSec's Rammus play doesn't have many places to go. Ganking Fizz, as we saw, was nearly impossible because of Playful Trickster. Maybe he can counter gank here if he catches someone in turret aggro.
Well, Chum the Waters is going to miss, but Dandy's already there. The teleport comes in. inSec gets himself into this one, flashing over the right wall. Pawn's going to go down. Dandy's going to go down. Looper's just running around for chaos, but he might go down as well. Trying to get the kill onto Korn before he gets out of this one, but he's holding his breath. Doesn't have enough. The Lantern gets Looper out. Here comes the Blaze of Fisher. Mata puts himself in front of the bullet and takes one for Looper. They're going to continue this fight a little bit as Imp comes in on this one. They're going to chase out Royal Club, but they don't have enough to continue the fight.
Still a tremendous turn there by Royal Club. Rammus this time with the counter gank, but do they bite off more than they can do? They're going for Dragon. They have the teleport back up. I think they have this.
TP came in there and we saw Imp looping around towards that Dragon on the bottom side. Maybe was going to try for the steal, but with the TP coming down, nothing to go for, and that will be Royal Club up ahead in kills, taking the Dragon. They're now 2,000 gold in the lead in this one. This is the start they're looking for.
And we said the one risk that Samsung White would have with this low wave clear composition is if they fall behind early, they have no way of stalling and preserving this game. That's a lot to say after just 2 kills to a team that has been ever so dominant. But 2 kills on Nicola is absolutely huge. The double teleport, which did not work out whatsoever in game 1 because they just dove Korn again and again. But this time, inSec was there at the right moment. Cola teleported in to help. They used their teleports at exactly the right times, and they get the rewards. 2,000 gold in on Samsung White is really hard to get.
Possible invade coming in, but they just go for the ward sweep. Trying to protect the pink as well if they can draw some pressure to that. For the first time, we see Korn with the CS lead at 10. Now onto the bottom lane. A level 6 Mata with a beautiful flay on Uzi as he gets him out of his jump. The heal was actually used to continue the speed there, so Uzi dropping a summoner spell to try and get back into range, not helping out.
Not quite an opening available. That's actually left Korn with the recall of Korn in that mid lane to get a bit of extra farming, obviously falling a little bit behind on this rise. Meanwhile, top lane, double buffs for Cola, and he's been able to cope with this lane now a lot better. Still behind in CS, but Rod of Ages is done for him thanks to what he got earlier on. Meanwhile, Zero still trying to catch out him. Such a crucial stage of the game, and Mata have to commend him again on an amazing play in that tri-bush.
Absolutely, but you can see that bottom lane is a little bit dangerous still. Uzi and Zero farming up quite well. If Pawn doesn't get going, there won't be very many threats for Samsung White in the upcoming team fights, and a very, very potent front line for Starhorn Royal Club. So even though Samsung White is always looking to make plays, they actually do need to make some plays now if they don't want to lose this one.
Well, Cola could easily be on the backside of those plays for Royal Club, now 2-0 with that Rod of Ages already charging over Looper, who's still trying to farm up his second time for this pink ward here. He doesn't know what's around him. There's not enough early wards for White as usual, and this could be Looper going down. Now it's Korn getting the rotation first. Now it's Royal Club doing what they need to do. 13 minutes in, they're 3-1 with a 2.4 thousand gold lead.
Yeah, that was another good gank there, but mainly for the first time all series, Korn beats Pawn to a spot. He was able to push up the mid lane, move away from it, and 3v1 Looper, which is what they needed to take down a Singe, but they do that all without losing turret damage, without losing an objective, and without really losing CS in the lane. A play that Samsung White did not counter is tremendous.
Where do they go from here then? We see the top lane being filled now by the duo of Samsung White. Obviously not feeling it anymore down bottom, and they're going to end up losing out on the first turret of the game. That just compounds Royal Club's lead in this one. Kohler stopped in his tracks there by Imp, who will himself now have a little bit more farm, but honestly Kohler pretty tanky, can certainly tank enough damage to wait for that Rammus to come rolling in. If they can then be joined by Korn, whose teleport will be coming off cooldown here shortly, there's possibilities there as well.
inSec's laying in wait. He's hoping that Imp pops his stealth so he could powerball in and he wouldn't be able to stealth away, but really ganking any of these lanes is really difficult for Rammus, as we've seen. It's a wonder he's 0-0-3 because of the counter gank. You think the Twitch Thresh, they can either stealth or Thresh Lantern away. Singed is so incredibly hard to tank down, you need 3 people, and Fizz can just playful trickster away from your Powerball. Yet still, he's been able to pull off a few things. Cola goes in strong. inSec stopped on a minion.
Twisted advance, and the Vengeful Maelstrom is down, so they're mitigating a bit of that damage that Cola's taking. Looper comes in with his teleport. They try to turn this around. Dandy comes in to help take down. That's going to be Cola. He gets shut down gold there. Pawn's not done in the mid lane either. Oh, no. Beautiful flash. What through the turret. He's going to go down. Nobody gets that blue buff, but beautiful play by Korn to make it a 1-for-1 in the mid lane.
The flashes at the last second there were so clutch to trade kills with Korn, but still, it was all about the action in the top lane. inSec a little bit sloppy on his pathing. It turns a gank that may have worked into a gank that can't work at all. Teleport was really nicely used. Let's just check this out one more time. The mid lane fight. Obviously, he lands the Shark. At this point, Korn is just trying to get into his turret as quickly as possible. And it's a long extended fight. He's trying to corner him down because he's built a fair amount of items, but he trades a little bit too hard. This is the point here. Pawn thought he was going to flash the playful trickster. He completely tried to guess the direction, but Korn outsmarted him there in order to trade the kill.
Meanwhile, Kohler here on the bottom. He's going to be spotted by the ward from Matter over the top of that wall. Leaving Uzi here, though, a bit more free farm on the top side of the map. Similar can be said, though, down bottom as we have Imp and Matter moving towards that turret, and they're going to look to claw a little bit of gold back now. Losing Dragon, losing the first 2 turrets of the game. They'll actually take bottom turret. We've got recalls here coming with just 15 seconds on Dragon.
And the timing of this Dragon is so important right now. A Blade of the Ruin King on Twitch versus a Static Shiv Pickaxe and Critical Cloak on Uzi is a huge power discrepancy. However, Double Rod of Ages have been completed by Starhorn Royal Club. Typically, they want some time for those to stack up. However, with this slight lead, they don't want to give up a Dragon. Fight in the brush.
Surprise from Uzi, or rather Imp, and Uzi is not surprised whatsoever. The Buster shot back. Yeah, surprise for Uzi indeed. inSec trying to come around the backside of the team. We still have White kind of circling around the Dragon. A pink ward goes down. Unprotected will go down, but it gives them enough vision to know what they can and cannot fight here.
I mean, I think Cola wants to teleport into this one, but he's trying to buy as much time as possible in the side lane. This could be the fight that turns it back into White's favor if they get the Dragon and win a fight, or the game that loses them the game.
Teleport coming down. It is going to be White that managed to get himself the Dragon. Dandy going to put down the Cataclysm at the back, but it's going to cost him his life. He will give Uzi the reset to jump over the top. Next target will be Pawn. He will fall here. Currently a 2-for-1, but that will be quickly made 3 as Looper falls as well. And Royal
they want them all.
coming up for the kills, and they're not done.
It's going to be Mata with the hook, though. Korn's the first one in. Imp very low on mana, but auto attacks, they don't cost mana. And they're going to keep going for the kills. Cole is just on the chase with 0. One's blasted back. What a buster shot. Imp is now in the fray. Oh, no. He thought he was safe. Cannot grab the lantern. Mata's left as Dandy come back alive, but he's the only one to walk away from the fight.
What a brawl we had right there. Samsung White does secure the Dragon, so they are still completely in this game. Another great smite there by Dandy. inSec couldn't quite go in. So many things happened in this fight. Imp tried to open up, but the shield from Zero. Zero's playing out of his mind on Braum right here. Dandy falls down, and the collapse over the wall by Royal Club was perfect. Since they blocked the Twitch ultimate, everyone had enough health to completely pile on for the end of this fight. But honestly, this was actually the mistake. Cola flashing over, and then them not expecting the turn from Imp and Mata. Such synergy in a 2v4 because they took people on one at a time, allowed them a lot of positive things. Finishing off Uzi was so clutch right there. And honestly, in a 2v4 at the end of the fight, getting 2 for 1 was what keeps them in here, and they steal the blue.
Kohler on the lantern there as well at the end, and no real escape available. Let's see where that leaves us. 2,000 gold, the lead for Starhorn Royal Club. Looper is going to keep the pressure up though on this turret with that Rod of Ages now done. Those minions don't last long when he's running around with the poison running. But what is next now with that outer ring of turrets down? Only the mid one really standing for Samsung White. What can Royal Club do? Imp once again waiting in stealth in mid, something that he's done time and time again. Doesn't always get him a catch, sometimes doesn't grant him a kill, but will force people out of lane and allow them to put damage down onto that crucial first middle turret. Not this time though, and it looks like both teams going to head back off, get themselves a little bit more farm. And if we look at the farm, 20 CS lead for both mid lane and AD carry on Royal Club's side of the map. Top lane is even, the jungle pretty much even there as well. But that gold still sticking at about 1,500.
And actually, if we look, really suboptimal gold distribution for Samsung White. The gold is not on their carries, it's on their supports. You can see 4,400 gold, 203 on Mata, and 5,200 gold on Dandy. They actually want the gold on Twitch and Fizz, the two people who need to be the late game hyper carries for them, especially considering their damage dealers are just comparatively underfarmed. The fact that Cola is the overfarmed member, the main tank, does favor Royal Club if they can find fights without getting outsped and actually find them in the right situation, which they haven't been able to do in the close early games they've had before. This is actually the first close mid game, a 20-minute gold advantage for Royal Club.
Yeah, Royal Club definitely on track to get those late game carries to the late game. We're going to see if Uzi, it looks like he's building up all the way to the Infinity Edge here. He's been on that pickaxe and the critical cloak for quite some time with a static shift, so his next back is going to be bringing a lot of power. You see that pawn has finished his Lich Bane quite some time ago, but really has not been able to put it into effect. And needlessly large rod, however, we see him coming back from base now, and we'll see if White goes back to their aggressive waves. It's been every game we've seen Royal Club adapting better and better. Now with one of their biggest gold leads kind of fluctuating back and forth, see if they can hold it.
And one of the interesting things that without any objective playing kills, the gold lead has shrunk there, with Samsung White actually clawing it back there just from farming by sending him to this mid lane. Had wave after wave, and if we look, you know, between Corn and Pawn, that one has also dropped a little bit, so we'll see how this one all works out. Looper, of course, is just going to keep pushing and pushing those waves up, which allows Kohler to also be getting those free farm if he is around. So a bit more of a stagnant point of the game as they try and charge up for surely what is the next fight in probably 1.5 minutes when the next dragon comes in. And from that, we see a lot of wards bought by Royal Club to be thinking about that.
A lot more wards than usual. Usually we'd see another scrying orb come in here because they were so far behind by this point, but now they're playing a little bit more of their own game, and they're able to get down what they want. A big buy on that Frozen Heart coming in from Cola, shutting down the damage of Imp if he can get himself into some sticky situations.
Yeah, and most players on Royal Club are also building more defensively than we normally see, because I think one of their main strategies is to make themselves not vulnerable to either a Twitch jump or a Pawn Assassination. I mean, a Spectre's Cal by Rise before he's even finished his Tear of the Goddess item diminishes his damage somewhat, but makes him much more survivable in the long extended team fights they hope to have. And all that it takes is Uzi to play safe-ish and just not get caught by a giant fish, and they would be in a pretty good space for team fights. But with Dragon in 30 seconds and limited vision control, we may see a repeat of that really bloody, brawly fight we saw 6 minutes ago.
There's a recall from Korn. Teleport is available though, so that means that he can join if they go for it, and they are going to go for it. So let's check the top laners who are still in lane. They also both have teleport available to them if this wants Oral to kick off.
If Samsung White could 4v4 this and rely on Looper to interrupt Cola's teleport, it would be so far in their favor, because Cola is the 5-in-1 Maokai that nobody can cut through. If they could take him out of the fight with some Sin Split Push, that's exactly what Samsung White wants.
Well, Looks like Looper's going to stay in farm right now. Corn trying to take body flashes. They're from the waters. Once again, it's only going to be so much that you can get away with Playful Trickster and a flash. They find the fish. They cut it up and serve him up. 9-6, 23 minutes in as they start to set up for Dragon.
You can flash Pawn, but so can inSec, and there are no cleanses on this team. Couple pairs of Mercury treads, but if Rammus gets his mitts on you, you're not getting away. inSec finds a catch, and they get the Dragon.
Dragon going over. It will be somewhat balanced out here, though, by Looper, who stayed in the top lane after that catch down bottom. Royal Club, though, piling into middle. There's currently no one that can stop them directly off. Yeah, it looks like they may be pushing here for their third tower.
They have to push fast, though. Looper is a split push threat. They're just trying to shut down Looper. They're okay keeping control of Samsung White and continuing to farm.
You see the wards that White is putting down, not in the normal spots. They're making sure the sweepers go to waste here for Royal Club, working out a little bit, but Royal Club's focus, they're not worried about their own wards right now. They are worried about taking down these turrets. As we said, they dropped the outer ring of 3 the first time they've done that against White as well within this series. They have a bit of the map advantage. It's how will they pressure it next? Have they adapted enough to now play as White does and play in the minds of their opponent to know what they're going to do next?
And here's 3,000 gold, which it's not quite at this point. 2,500. Either way,
Yeah.
it's 2, it's 3, it's 5 going to be enough for Royal Club
Right.
in this matchup. See Frozen Heart for Maokai. That will be helping things out. And they've managed to hold on to this middle turret for a long, long time now as well. Well, obviously, if White can get in there, level this out somewhat. But it's all, I think, about Cola here. I mean, we talked about it numerous times, I think, throughout the World Championship.
Right.
Said that he's a man that really has to step up to almost get onto Looper's level, who seems a little bit chilly just putting his jacket on there in the bottom right-hand corner.
Well,
and he's got to come up big. So far, Cola is delivering.
Yeah, and night has fallen, so the temperature will be dipping in this open arena here. Players, the jacket that Pawn received from Dade will be pretty beneficial for him in this game, but honestly, it's about Corn staying safe. Imp, it's a little dangerous for him to open up. He actually opened up as if he had backup. Corn decided not to turn.
He realizes the magic resistance has been built, not the armor so far here for Corn, and takes him down.
That was a confidence play through and through by Imp. If Corn turned on him, Rise can blow people up, but instead he thought he had backup, as you pretty much always do, and yeah, he probably would have lost the 1v1 because he had no armor, but that was just him burning everything and still dying.
And seeing that he used his ultimate to get rid of that minion wave to push that one through. Easy pick up there for Imp, but very confident, like you said, and he's pushing towards the inner turret in that bottom lane, realizing though that his minions a little far away, and that'll probably be balanced out once Corn actually respawns in and decides to recall, spend a little bit of gold, get himself another pickaxe, and we'll have a last whisper coming through shortly. See though a little bit more armor now coming through. Rammus is going to have that rando in soon. Seems like will be similar for Looper on the other side as well. Already mentioned that Cole has that Frozen Heart in position. But what is next here for Royal Club? One thing that's definitely important this stage of the game. Got to keep vision.
Well, we already see that Dandy's considered it as well. This might be the first game we saw him not rush those mobility boots. He actually goes for Merc Treads himself to keep himself relevant in these fights and keep going out of the CC.
He's afraid of the Rammus, honestly. If he goes in a little bit ahead of his team and gets taunted, they can burst him down. Also, there's a fear that Looper could become irrelevant later in this game. If one thing is great against Singe, it's really powerful AD carries, and Uzi has not really been slowed down from farming this game on Trist. So Royal Club, one thing they can walk away from is a stronger performance in every successive game that they play Samsung White. Game 1 was a steamroll. Game 2, they were close for 12 minutes. Game 3, they are winning at 27 minutes. They're actually they were in danger, still a slight danger, of being the quickest team to be defeated in World Final history, average game time wise. As long as they make it past the 35.5 minute mark, that will not happen for them right here. That's obviously not on their minds. They want to win this game and the entire series, but the fact remains they have gotten stronger in every single game here against Samsung White.
Right, and we see that White is hitting some damage spikes, but we saw earlier Royal Club's building all that defense, so they're able to put up with those spikes and stay in these long engagements that we've seen so far. We did see Imp recently taking down Korn 1v1. We don't think that'll happen again, and the wards are kind of dying out. Where we would see multiple wards in the jungle of Royal Club, it's dark for White, so they can't do any of the plays that we've been seeing every game, and this is a much more, I'd say, passive White as a team.
Yeah. It's because Samsung White is somewhat controlled right now with their actual freedoms. Since Pawn has had a bad game, he is not able to lay in wait for people because he loses duels to most players on Royal Club right now. So what they're trying to do is split push and stall with Looper, try and catch people in rotations with Twitch, and it's really difficult for them because they don't have very good wave clear with their non-split push unit. They actually have very limited options. Pulling out a win would be very impressive here for Samsung White.
Well, if one team's been impressive, it's certainly be them, as Imp will catch out Kohler there. Bit of damage, already got himself some decent defensive stats though. But White starting to look for control around the Baron. Going to clear out a couple of those wards. And one thing I said just moments ago, that vision important, and saw Royal Club just moments ago pinging inside their own jungle. Back pings as well, saying don't go in there, we've got no vision, don't get caught out at this stage. Pornia actually going to dive towards Zero. Have they got the damage to kill him off? The fish is already in. There's the ultimate of Pawn, going to go low. Last second, Sonya's. Oh, here comes the clean-up team. He's going to let it go. The flash over for Uzi will get it. He's going to go towards him. Double kill down for Uzi. Can he get any more? It's Looper. That's the next focus, and that one will fall over to Kohler. 4 men down. They're going Baron.
The only person who can stop them from this Baron is the Prince of Thieves, Dandy, the one person not to fall in this fight. Uzi wants to shut him down, though. He's searching for him.
Uzi's on the other side now. He knows he has the range to get over the Baron wall with his shots. They find the concussive blow. Dandy's going to be out. They need the damage on the Baron. It's half health, and everybody's looking pretty hurt here. Cole is huge. He's going to want to stay in the front. He's going to stay in the front. Actually, he's going back and forth. Zero getting very low. Uzi almost finding Dandy just over the wall. Baron to Royal Club at 30 minutes on the dot.
Royal Club was so scared about that steal, they nearly sacrificed the Baron, but this was the fight. It looked like Zero had been caught out, but getting that one stack on a Pawn allowed the stun, which delayed his response here. And then Samsung White, with the inferior team fight team, was hoping to get a great open from Imp, but Uzi, because he jumped for the kill and got the reset, could explode Imp, and then Samsung White is just screwed. There's nothing they can do right there. Looper was in the middle of a fight where a team could completely tank them. They take the Baron, they do lose the Dragon, but they did gain control of that game.
5,000 gold the lead for Royal Club at the 30-minute mark of this match. Uzi, we talked about him so many times, the only player in League of Legends history to hit a final twice. Honestly, must have been thinking, is this a little bit of deja vu after game number 2, but Royal Club ahead in this one, further into the game than they were ahead in game number 2. And Uzi's got to that point, you know, Infinity had static shift, got himself that last whisper, and now another not a bloodthirster, BF sword that I'm sure is going bloodthirster direction. And he is scary. Just needs to be careful that he doesn't jump into the wrong place.
I mean, that is always the threat. Despite playing in 2 World Finals, he's played, this is now his 6th game, he's yet to win one. So it would be nice if he could get his first victory in a World Finals. I've also seen him go Mercurial Scimitar before Lifesteal in a lot of situations before. That wouldn't be too ill-advised either. But with Baron on 5 people, this push is rather relentless. And remember, very limited wave clear here for Samsung White. I don't know if they can stop this. They almost have to fight right now if they want a chance. But the team fighting from Royal Club is so powerful that they're scared to fight him.
And it looks like Royal Club wants in. The Baron gives them the key to open the door on Samsung White's base. They drop an inhibitor only a few minutes after taking Baron, using it very effectively. Looper can't even do a close-off play here. They're just kind of walking around in their own jungle, making sure they have their buff still, but Royal Club isn't even worried about that. They're ready to reset, even push his bottom lane and actually stay with it and look for another turret.
Uzi that's been sent down that funnel a bit more farm over onto your beastly AD carry. I mean, Kohler himself's probably got enough at this point. He's 7-1-4 with Maokai. Not too far off full item builds at this stage. And they're just waiting for that minion wave to slowly trudge its way up that bottom lane and have a go. They're just forgetting that. They say, you know what, guys, it's taking too long time. Let's just go in there. They're going to take that inner turret. Oh. Not sure
Well-
you can kill him.
I don't think either guy can kill either guy, that's for sure. Corn's just trying to dissuade the split push. And remember, because they have the double teleport, he can also arrive if they decide to push this down. They still have Baron. The last one couldn't be stopped, and now they have 5 strong. This is inhibitor number 2, unless White tries a desperation fight, which they would lose.
That's the teleport on the mid lane. Corn coming in to offer more assistance here. It's going to be that back coming in from Looper. He can just come out of base, but it's all too late. The second inhibitor falls down only a minute and 18 seconds later, and Royal Club is turning up the heat here in Game 3.
It's been such a turnaround. Game 1 to 2 to 3. Royal Club getting a little bit more and more power. And honestly, one of the reasons White looks so dominating, and one of the reasons up until, honestly, this game, they have looked like the best team in the history of League of Legends, is because for the history of this team, they've had one weakness. It is overconfidence, overextending, and a penchant for poor late-game shot calling. The reason they had been so great this Worlds is because they're never letting games get to that point. They have never been stumped in the early game, and they always crush through. But finally, Royal Club has found a way to that weakness. They successfully games get to that point. They have never been stumped in the early game, and they always crush through. But finally, Royal Club has found a way to that weakness. They successfully counter-ganked Dandy, and then they picked a very powerful, tanky, team-fighting team that was less susceptible to the squishy, fast assassination playstyle that you would see from the Twitch and the Fizz in this matchup. And they have dealt with Looper's Singe very well. You don't see the top lane much, but Cola never let him in between his turret, which is very hard to do. And now they're looking for inhibitor number 3.
Gonna be hard to hold out here. They've cleared the waves to the halfway point on both middle and bottom lane. The inhibitors went down on earlier. We'll see if Royal Club say, you know what, guys, let's just tank this one up. They're gonna wait, I think, though, for those super minions to come in, and so that someone from Samsung White has to leave that third and final inhibitor turret. Play the map at this point. Actually, Uzi and Pawn just going head-to-head. It's Pawn that comes off a lot worse in that scenario. They're going to dive in here for the fight.
And that's going to be Cataclysm down on Cola, but he's already mitigating the damage with Vengeful Maelstrom. Uzi's in the back. Can he get in? Imp's already down. It's 50 seconds on these death timers. They're going over now. Can they take down Corn? Yes, they do. It's also Zero that falls. They've taken off a little more than they can chew on this one. And under the turret was just a bit too strong for Royal Club. They're going to get hit up once more. They're going to get aced. It might take a while for Cola here. They're going to walk it out. And it looks like it's saving the Nexus turrets actually as well for White.
There's 2 inhibitors down. All Royal Club had to do there was not fight and wait for Samsung White to not be there. But Samsung White found the team fight at the only moment of vulnerability right there by Royal Club. You almost never see a team defend when down 2 inhibitors. And that's what Royal Club was banking on with that push. But White found the most minuscule of windows for a victorious fight.
Lost a lot of health on that first Nexus turret, but the inhibitors are starting to spawn in there. The mid one will come up. They're going to have another wave, I think, on the bottom. But let's watch that fight again.
Everything went wrong for Royal Club. They over-prioritized the Twitch, and Zero, I don't think, got in range to block the sprint. No, he even did. But the fact that Uzi was completely zoned out of the fight by Pawn, I think is what decided that you have a whole bunch of tanks who took out one person, but then Uzi is so far out of the fight and cannot enter it, he is doing almost no damage in the entirety of this fight. Then the goo zones him out, then they start running away. Pawn then is free to jump all over the place, finish people off, and again, Royal Club is in the danger zone. The inhibitors are coming back, and that's a tough fight to lose. That's a really tough fight to lose. The game was in hand for Royal Club, completely in hand.
Bloodthirster finished up here for Uzi, so those fights may be a little bit easier, being able to stay closer. Already got himself charged up, and Royal Club wants back in immediately. Baron's up in 3 seconds. They want these inhibitors down. They want more of a reason to get back to Baron, an easier reason to get back to Baron and keep the pressure onto White here.
Yeah, this is smart, but at the same time, it's a way of accelerating the game a little bit. They want to retake both of these inhibitors so the Baron control is easier. That means that Samsung White wants to find the fight right now. This is their window.
Inhibitor is going to be going down. Paul waiting off to the side. Dandy coming in close. Uzi going to go for it. He's trying to get caught at the back. Uzi, though, is left alone on the backside. They need to keep him in check. Zero goes low. inSec at half HP. They still have Paul dancing around in this one. That's 2 kills over to Samsung White.
Uzi is flying.
Uzi is still there. There is Uzi to get the double. Will jump away to stay alive. Can he get more? He's no win. He's in the poison, but he's got the light. Oh! He does finally go down, but Looper will die as well. And that is the ace. Is that the game for Royal Club?
They have a 2 inhibitor advantage. 40-second death timers on Samsung White. It looks like this is going to game 4.
Corn and Cola still alive, doing what they can in these Nexus turrets. The next minion wave coming in. Royal Club could keep themselves alive in this series here with one more take. A siege wave coming in from the top. It's going to be closest 19 seconds. That's him. There's no chance that he's going to be up before that Nexus goes down. 38-18. They start on the Nexus, and Royal Club do the impossible. They take game 3 against White, and we're going to be going to game 4. The series is still alive.
And even though we are in Seoul, Korea, this series going later excites the crowd because we're seeing a series now. Samsung White had looked so invulnerable through the entire World Championship, but the smallest of cracks have emerged in their armor. And Dandy, a look of mild concern right there. Honestly, they were on pace to be the most dominating team in World Championship history. That is gone now. Now they need to worry about just winning the World Championship, honestly, because that performance there from Starhawk